In Jesus' name, Chapter 19. April 28th, Sunday afternoon, Pine Forest Country Inn, Pine Forest, Georgia. Everyone had already put in their 2 cents worth. Twice. Jake sighed in exasperation. No one could come to a decision. He looked around the room. He was pretty sure at one point that he'd had his mom and Aunt Lisa on his side. Then that seemed to switch, and it looked like he had his father on his side. Even Uncle Chaz started to waver for a few minutes, but then went back to his stance that it's just too soon for Lena to make such a big decision. Jake looked from face to face. This was much harder than he thought it would be. John sighed. You've been silent for a while, son. What are you thinking? Honestly? Well, is there another way to answer? No, sir. I just know that you wouldn't like what I was thinking. Well, the reason for this meeting is to be open and honest and come to a conclusion where everyone is satisfied. So, go ahead, be honest. Jake blew out a breath. Well then, honestly, I was thinking we should just elope. There was a sharp intake of breath from the women, a thunderous look from Chaz, and a chuckle from his father. And Chaz turned on John. I can't believe you think that's funny. John shrugged with a smile. Well, if he was seriously considering it, he wouldn't have told us what he was thinking. Jake sighed. I wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that. We respect you all too much to do that. Besides, I want to live. The four parents nodded their heads as if that was a logical statement. Look, let me just say this, Jake went on. There are lots of pros and cons to what I want to do as far as Lena. It wouldn't be a difficult decision if I wasn't being deployed in a few months, but I am, and that's just the way of it. You guys know a man's got to do what a man's got to do. It would be a hurried thing to pull off, but bottom line, Lena loves me and has been waiting for me for a long time. Yes, that means that she can wait a little longer, but I feel like that's not fair to her because there's a possibility that I won't come back. Stop saying that, Lisa said. Well, we have to face reality. You never know what's going to happen. We almost lost Gabe last week. Who would have ever thought that what happened to the kid next door would happen? I love Lena. And yes, it's only been a few weeks. Not a few weeks that I've loved her. A few weeks that I've admitted to loving her. I think we were meant to be together since the beginning. I would give my life for her, I swear. Would you drop out of the military? Lisa asked. Yes, in a second. The answer surprised everyone. But she won't let me. She said she loves me and wants me to be who and what I am, and she understands my feelings of the Marines being a calling. He sighed. Listen, if I were to not come back, the worst tragedy would not be my death. It would be Lena waiting for me almost her whole life and having nothing to show for it. Not my name and not my survivor's benefits. Heck, not even the flag from my coffin. Jody's eyes filled with tears. Oh, honey, Lisa said as she put her arm around the best friend she'd ever had. There was silence in the room for some time, and it was Chaz who finally spoke. Well, he paused and nodded. These kids obviously truly love each other because he loved her enough to give up the only thing he's worked for his entire life, and she loved him enough to not let him. Everyone nodded. Jake looked into his father's eyes, then at the rest of the group. I have one more thing to say. We're sitting here discussing the future of the most important person in this conversation, and she isn't even here to give her opinion. Who knows? I may propose to her and she may turn me down, or I may propose and suggest we marry before I leave, and she may say it would be better to wait. You know, she may want the big dream wedding with, like, the flower girls and stuff. I don't know. So at the very least, let me ask her to marry me, and then we'll include her in the rest of the discussion. And what if we said no? Chaz asked. Jake's eyes moistened. Then, I will abide by your wishes, of course. he said softly, in defeat. Another silence. This one was deafening. Finally, Chaz nodded. You have my permission. He looked at his wife. Lisa? Lisa smiled. Yes, mine too. He blew out a breath and hung his head in complete exhaustion, then looked back up. Thank you. Jody looked up with a gleam in her eye. Would you like help in planning the proposal? Jake smiled. Sure, Mom. I'll always want your help. New scene. It is April 28th, same day, Sunday afternoon. Tanner home to the South Keno estate in California. How was church? Gabe asked. It was actually pretty good, Taylor replied, but I was super sleepy. We didn't get in last night until after midnight. We got up, went to church, ate lunch, and I just told my mom I was going to go take a nap. And then I called, and now you don't get your nap. I'll call back later, Gabe offered. Don't you dare hang up, Taylor ordered. Gabe laughed. Yes, ma'am. Gabe, I miss you so much. Me too. I miss you. She giggled. This long-distance stuff sucks, Gabe declared. I know, right? Well, anyway, just 2 more weeks until prom. Are you wearing a tux? Yes. As a matter of fact, I have to go be fitted Wednesday after school. Oh, you're going back to school already? Yeah, tomorrow. I can't lay out any longer. I got to make sure I graduate. I guess so. What color tux are you getting? Color? Why? You want to coordinate? She giggled. Well, not really coordinate, but I want to make sure we don't clash. Okay, knowing what you know of me, Taylor, what color do you think I'm getting? He asked curiously. Well, I figure you're getting black. It shows all you know. Oh, well, then what color are you getting? Think about it, Taylor. Team colors, of course. Your tux is red, white, and blue. You don't like that? Not really. Well, it's also the colors of our nation's flag, he reminded her. I realize that, but this is the prom, not the 4th of July. I can't believe you don't like my tux colors. I can't believe you do. Is this a deal breaker? She sighed. No, I'm not that shallow, but I'll have to go get a different dress 'cause I can't stand when colors clash. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. So you'd get a different dress for me? I guess I would. It's your prom. I want you to be happy. Taylor, you just scored big time, but you don't have to do that. Yeah, I do. Tay, I'm just kidding around. Really? You mean like your tux is not red, white, and blue? Of course not. It's black. I'm pretty conservative in my clothing choices. That's what I thought. That's why I guessed black. He chuckled. A red, white, and blue tux, that would have been hilarious. I don't think I could get one of those. Not around here, anyway. Well, here in L.A., you can get anything you can imagine, she said with a laugh. Oh, I bet. So what color is your dress? That is my secret. But don't worry, we won't clash. Everything goes with black. He laughed again. I wasn't a bit worried. They were silent for a minute. So, do you want to talk about the funeral? He asked. Well, it was weird. How so? I've never had anyone die that I know personally. I've never seen a dead person before. It's like it's not really them. That person lying so still in that casket that didn't even look like my Grandpa Robert. Did you go up to the casket by yourself? No, and it was a good thing. My dad went with me, and I'm really glad he did, because once I got up there, I started shaking. Why? I don't know. It felt so weird. And then my dad put his arm around me, and I immediately felt calmer. He talked about the circle of life and death, and talked about that being only Grandpa's mortal shell, and that he was no longer in there. His life force was now with Jesus, awaiting the resurrection. I mean, I knew all that, but Having my father so calmly state it as if he absolutely knew it to be fact, it was very reassuring. She sighed. You know, the other day my dad and I had a little spat. Well, it was more like I had a little tantrum and he just listened. I was pretty mean to him. I accused him of having no feelings, no emotions, of just being a man, like the thing going around the country of masculinity being toxic. Yeah, Gabe answered simply, not sure where she was going with this. And then my grandpa died, and I watched my strong father take care of my mother, and my strong brother offer to take care of me, and it didn't feel toxic at all. I felt protected and secure, and I was grateful for their strength. I'm glad you feel that way because I believe in being as strong and as skilled as possible, and I don't think that makes me toxic. I think it makes me responsible. I strive to be as strong and confident as both of our fathers. And my father, known as a killer to some, if you were to see him with, like, my baby sister or with my mom, he's the most gentle, caring, loving person you could know. I have watched him, and I've seen how sweet he can be. Gabe laughed. Well, he might not want to hear that he's sweet. Taylor giggled. Hey, you know how you said you'd like to be like both our fathers? Yeah? Well, I read that girls always search out their mates for someone like their fathers. Sometimes they don't even realize it. Maybe that's why I'm so attracted to you, because you're so much like my dad. Gabe smiled. I'll take that as a huge compliment. So how did your interview go with Isla August? Taylor asked. Oh, it was okay. We talked a long time. I was late to the interview because Jake and I stopped to help a lady mow her grass, but my mom covered for me till I got there. After the interview, she and Kyle, her cameraman, who also happens to be her brother, by the way, stayed for dinner. It was kind of fun. Everything our family said or did, she acted like it was fascinating to her. She asked my dad several times if she could say something in the video about certain things. Like what? Well, like how he didn't adopt my 5 older sisters so they could keep their father's name to honor him and always remember him because he was a hero, or about his time as an FBI agent and why he sometimes got a bad rap. And did your dad give permission? Well, yes to the first one, because Bradley Anderson's heroism should be told, and no to the second because it's personal. He shrugged. And then I walked them out to their car, and she couldn't stop talking about how amazing our family is. My mom, a Grammy winner, who made a delicious dinner and was happy doing it. And my dad, known as this strong, fierce guy with Iris on his lap, giving him wet, slimy kisses all over his face. And my sisters, well, just that they're twins and so freaking beautiful. And then there's me. What did she have to say about you? Oh, he laughed. She said several times that I smelled good. She went over this list of accolades, the martial arts, the baseball, the guns, my charming personality. It was silly, you know. When Taylor didn't answer right away, he thought the call had gone dead. Hello? Hey, so she thinks you smell good? Yeah? Were you wearing cologne? No, I had to take a shower when I first got home because I was sweaty and dirty. You sound upset. No, I'm not upset. I'm just remembering how you smell right after a shower, and she's right. You do smell really good, and it just makes me miss you so much. I can't even. Yeah, Tay, I feel the same way. That's the second time you've called me that. Tay. Oh, sorry. We have a way of giving everyone a nickname. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer. It just slipped out that way. I don't mind. It's kind of cute. My brother and the little ones, they call me Tay-Tay. My brother, not as much now as he used to, but I like the way you say Tay. Good. Cool. What do they call you? Gabe paused because he heard his mother call him. Then he said, they call me Gabe. He laughed because, that's already a nickname. but a few of my friends call me the Gabester, you know, like a gangster. She laughed. Yeah, I think I'll stick with Gabe. Lizzie called him again. Tay, Mom's calling me. Guess I gotta go. Hold on a minute. He turned his head away from the phone. Yes, I heard you. I'm on my way. Tay, you still there? She giggled. Yes. I've never heard you yell before. He laughed. I gotta go, but I wanted to tell you the interview is coming out tonight at 8 p.m. my time, so that would be 5 your time if you want to hear it. You can critique and tell me what I should have said. Right, like I would do that. Shoot, he grumbled when he heard his father call. Yes, sir, he yelled. I gotta go. Talk to you later. He ended the call. He headed quickly. Sorry. My computer skipped. It just jumped. He headed quickly down the back kitchen stairs. He must have run down the stairs a million times in his life, and a few of those times he'd taken a tumble. This time he tripped halfway down, and he tumbled head over heels, landing with a final thump and letting loose a few curses. My, that's lovely, Lizzie said, frowning at his language. Are you okay? He gave a soft grunt as he rose. Sorry, and I think so. He walked gingerly toward a kitchen chair and sat down, rubbing his shoulder. But when he glanced up, he saw that Isla and Kyle were standing in the kitchen. He stood back up. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. Well, that's why I called you down, Lizzie said. What were you doing? Sorry, Mom, I was on the phone. Isla smiled her sweet smile. So, am I getting a look at the real Gabe Tanner? He grinned and shrugged. Well, I'm always just me, but if you mean getting to see a klutz tripping down the stairs or letting loose a few bad words, well, I never said I was perfect. His mom laughed. Oh, he's definitely not perfect, but I wouldn't trade him for anyone else. Isla nodded. I wouldn't either. I think even your imperfections are perfect. Gabe shook his head. His father, who'd been cooking something on the stove, turned and looked at Gabe, and their eyes met, and he knew he was in trouble for not coming when he was called, and probably for yelling at his mom, especially since he yelled in front of a frickin' reporter. He sighed. So, we're headed back to Cali, Isla said brightly, and we just wanted to stop by to thank you again for the interview and say goodbye, and to thank Mr. and Mrs. Tanner for the wonderful meal and allowing us to visit with your amazing family last night. It was our pleasure, Lizzie replied. You're welcome to stay for Sunday dinner. It'll be ready soon. Aw, you are just too sweet. I wish we could, but we have a plane to catch. But maybe we can come again sometime. Well, you'll be welcome here, Lizzie said, smiling at the looks she was receiving from her two guys. The interview will be coming out in a few hours, Isla informed them, but it will be available to stream anytime after that. If you have any problems with anything on there, let me know, Isla said. We will, Keegan assured her. Gabe moved forward and shook their hands, and then Isla hugged him and kissed his cheek with a big smacking sound. Keegan wiped his hands on a towel and shook hands. Have a safe trip, he offered cordially. They ushered their guests out and closed the door, and Gabe sank down at the kitchen table, deciding not to wait for the boom. Sorry, Mom, that I wasn't really yelling at you. I was just yelling loud enough for you to know that I heard you and I was coming. She shouldn't have to call you a second time, Keegan said sternly. Gabe blinked. Yes, sir. There was nothing else to say to that. Who were you talking to? Keegan asked. Taylor. You two getting pretty close? Gabe shrugged. I think so. Lizzie smiled. I think that's wonderful. I really like her. She's very sweet and smart, and she's humble and not all caught up in that Hollywood stuff. And she ain't bad looking either, huh, Gabe? His father asked. Gabe smiled. She's all of that. New scene. May 1st, Wednesday evening, Tanner home, Pine Forest, Georgia. Gabe was trying to study and catch up on schoolwork he'd missed during the week he was out, but it currently felt impossible. He felt overwhelmed. He sat at the desk in his bedroom. Usually, he'd crack open the books at the kitchen table, but today he just couldn't concentrate. So when his phone buzzed, he was a little irritated. Hello? Hello, Gabe. This is Isla. Hey, he said shortly. Listen, I'm sorry to bother you, but I have some information for you and your parents, and it's simply mind-blowing. Okay, he said. Remember the other day when I asked you what body wash you used? If you heard the interview, you know I left that in the interview. Well, I just got off the phone with the company that makes that body wash, and they are floored by the popularity of teenspotter.com and by the extreme popularity of one Gabriel Tanner. They said their sales have literally doubled. Cool. Good for them. I'm thinking you don't understand what that means. They're going to want to sponsor you. They're going to want you to represent them. Gabe, they're going to pay you very big bucks to tell people how much you like their body wash. And they want to advertise on my site. Okay, well, I'm happy for you. Thanks, Gabe, but I think you still don't understand what this means. It means other companies are going to be contacting you. You, Gabe, are going to make millions in endorsements. Really? Why? I don't get it. She sighed heavily. Because, Gabe, you are so likable. You are a superb athlete, a superb marksman, a hometown boy from Southern America who loves his family, loves his sisters and mother. Girls love that stuff. And you're hot in two ways. You're hot as in trending, as in extremely popular right now. And you're hot as in extremely good looking. You are all muscular and sexy, and your cute face, your blue eyes, your thick dark hair, you have it all. Do you get it yet? He sighed. I get what you're saying. I don't understand how or why all this can happen so fast. About me, just a normal kid. Gabe, there is nothing normal about you. Look, these people are going to call your parents, so it would be best if I speak to them first. Okay, I'll give my parents your number and tell them to call you if you'd like. That would be great, and I'll touch base with you soon. Gabe ended the call and started to yell downstairs to his dad, but realized he didn't have the energy, so he called him instead. His father picked up, and Gabe filled him in on what Isla said. Gabe, Keegan said, you know, I'm just down in the kitchen. Why don't you come down and we'll discuss this with your mom? Gabe thought about it but didn't answer. Gabe? Yeah. Why are you breathing so hard? I don't know. 30 seconds later, Keegan was at Gabe's side. He placed a hand on Gabe's shoulder. Son? Gabe turned slowly and gazed up at his father. Keegan saw immediately that something was not right. Gabe's eyes were glassy, his upper lip was sweaty, his mouth pale. Lizzie! Keegan yelled. Lizzie and two of Gabe's sisters came running into the room. He's burning up, Keegan said. Gabe, Lizzie said. Not feeling so good, Mom, he answered. Take his shirt off, Lizzie ordered. Lily, get me the thermometer. Daisy, get me a washcloth and a bowl of cool water. Keegan got his shirt off, and what Lizzie feared was evident. Red streaks around one of his wounds. She carefully removed the bandage and saw the whitish pus around the edges. He's infected, she informed her husband. He needs antibiotics. I don't think it's sepsis yet because we need to get him to the hospital before it gets bad. There was no sign of infection last night when I changed the bandages, so it's come on quickly, and that also means we caught it quickly. Daisy came back with a thermometer. It registered 103.8, and Lily placed the cool cloth on his forehead, and he gasped in surprise. Son, can you stand? Yes, sir, he said as he rose and immediately swayed. Keegan caught him and lifted him into his arms with a grunt. Lizzie, grab my wallet and keys. Daisy opened the doors. Gabe went completely limp. Man, he's gotten heavy, Keegan mumbled. Keegan laid Gabe in the back seat, and Lizzie climbed in next to him as she was giving instructions to her daughters to make dinner and take care of Iris and call Jody. On the way to the hospital, Lizzie called Gabe's doctor, who would meet them there. 20 minutes later, they were being ushered into an emergency room cubicle. New scene. May 1st, Wednesday evening, South Keno Estate, Crystal Cove, California. Ricky finished his phone call and sighed. Gabe was in the hospital again. Rose Anderson realized that Taylor would want to know, but she didn't want to be the one to tell her, so she called Ricky. This was not as big a deal as the poor kid being kidnapped, but they would still pray for him and ask everyone again to pray. The dark forces were definitely gathering to put out this kid's light. For Gabriel Tanner was indeed a bright light. An infection can turn into sepsis quickly, and sepsis has a relatively high mortality rate. He went to find Bree first. He and his wife always handled all emergencies as a team, and she made one quick, well-placed phone call to her mother, which started the ball rolling. Once that was done, they went to speak with Taylor, but it was too late. Taylor was on the phone with Peyton. She'd called him when Gabe wasn't answering his phone, and she wondered if there was some kind of school activity that she didn't know about. She looked up as her parents came into her room, and her eyes were already filled with tears. She quickly told Peyton to keep her informed and that she had to go. "This is making me crazy," Taylor cried. They caught it quickly. "He's going to be okay," Bree said. "Your mom's right, honey," Ricky said. "Where's Aunt Jeffy?" Taylor asked. "She's not feeling well right now," Bree answered. "Gabe is on his own." "No, he most definitely is not," Ricky stated. "We'll get the family together on a Zoom call and we'll do a prayer circle for Gabe." Taylor nodded her head. New scene. It's now May 2nd, Thursday, early dawn, Stewart Ranch, Pine Forest, Georgia. Lena and Jake worked side by side in the stables, cleaning stalls, watering, feeding, and washing or brushing horses. Earlier, before they started working, they'd knelt together in prayer for Gabe, and something happened. It was strange. It felt as if they'd done this very thing hundreds of times. They'd been overcome. Jake had gazed into her eyes and reached out and touched her face and whispered his love for her, and they'd kissed, and next thing they knew, they were literally rolling in the hay. It took every ounce of strength Jake had to pull away before things got out of hand. Now they worked silently. It was a beautiful, companionable feeling. Lena was thinking about and thanking God for the lusty thoughts she'd had, because she'd been worried that she would never want to give herself to anyone ever since the assault. But she definitely wanted to this morning. It was a relief to know that she wasn't completely damaged goods. Jake was thinking he was glad he had the strength to stop when he did, because he was sure Lena was willing, and that was not how he wanted to consummate their relationship. He wanted to do it right. What Gabe said to that woman was correct. It takes a much stronger man to withhold himself than one who takes every opportunity to gratify himself. He thought about the proposal he planned for this Saturday, just 2 days away. Gabe was in the hospital. It all depended if Gabe was out and the Tanners still willing, because Gabe was sort of a big part of the proposal. What Lena had been told was Gabe had to finish a big project. So Jake and Lena met with Gabe, and he explained very convincingly that he had to make a short film. 2 people, the girl in a long feminine dress, the guy dressed nicely, ride across a field on horses. They come to a group of people having a picnic. They dismount. He helps her down, and they join the picnic. Lena had scoffed about the dress. She'd said, "No one goes riding in a dress." He'd asked her to just go with the script. She agreed, but said she would wear shorts under the dress. Jake smiled. That's his Lena. Common sense, no frills. She also scoffed at him helping her down off the horse. Gabe had quickly explained that it was only because she was wearing a dress, and it seemed the gentlemanly thing to do, and she went with it. Now Jake realized it may not happen, not this Saturday. And the following Saturday was prom, though he thought they still may be able to get it in before Gabe had to get ready, because guys don't take that long to get dressed. All he had to do was take a shower using the body wash everyone was gabbing about and get dressed. Jake chuckled at the thought. He, too, used the same body wash, and his mom and his Aunt Lisa and Grams and Lena almost always commented on how good it smells. Lena's phone buzzed, pulling them both out of their reverie. She pulled up the phone and her mouth dropped open. Look at this, Jake. It's happening again. What? Gabe is trending. People are praying for him again. She scrolled. Most of the pics are stills from videos people have made of him. Close-ups of his eyes and his abs and his beat-up face from the abduction video. Him standing on the box with the gun in his hand. That's a good-looking pic of him. Looks really hot. Jake's eyebrows rose. She laughed. Jealous? Should I be? No, my big, gorgeous man. Gabe is a little boy. Jake raised his eyes. He's not so little, and I promise not to tell him that you said that. She scrolled some more. Oh, Lord, someone let on that Taylor's going to be going to prom with him. There's a bunch of pics of her now. Oh, he's not going to be happy about that. And neither will she. But I guess she's used to it. It won't matter because Gabe's dad is handling security, and ain't no one getting into that place who doesn't have a ticket. She scrolled some more. People have taken older pics of Taylor and superimposed them next to Gabe. They are blowing up. He already has over 1 million views on the Teen Spotter pics. Gabe's life is never going to be the same, is it? Jake shook his head. I doubt it. I hope it doesn't change him, because he's a good guy. New scene. It's May 2nd, Thursday morning, Pine Forest Memorial Hospital, Pine Forest, Georgia. Gabe slept through the night and awoke the next morning feeling much better. The antibiotics being pumped into his body had acted on the infection quickly. He opened his eyes in the wee hours of dawn to the same pretty nurse who'd cared for him before. She pointed a thermometer at his head and it beeped, and she nodded in satisfaction. She slipped the BP cuff on his arm. How you feeling, Gabe? She asked as the cuff inflated. He yawned. Better, I think. Are my parents here? They went to grab a cup of coffee. They're going to be happy to see your eyes open. Yeah, I've put them through a lot lately. You don't worry about that. You just concentrate on getting better. He smiled at her. I will. How's Sam? The nurse grinned. She's fine, and she's going to be super pumped to know that you remembered her name and asked about her. He sighed. You know, I'm no one special. The fact that you said that is part of what makes you special. He decided to change the subject because he was tired of everyone thinking he's so special. Taylor must be really tired of all that stuff since she's had to deal her whole life. Thinking of Taylor, he remembered the prom. Do you know if they're going to let me out of here today? She smiled sweetly. I very much doubt that. He blew out a breath. Why are you so anxious to get out? Just try to relax and get well. Well, I have the prom coming up a week from this Saturday, and in order to go to the prom, I have to be in school, and I have to have all my makeup work done. The more days I'm out, the more work I have to do. She smiled and brushed his hair back from his face. Well, maybe someone can bring your work to you. He nodded. Yep, that's a good idea. So do you have a date for the prom? 'Cause if you don't, Sam would be happy to go with you. He smiled. Oh, yes, I have a date. Who's the lucky girl? Taylor Keno. Taylor Keno. Why does that sound familiar? Gabe grimaced. He shouldn't have said her last name. Well, it's not like it's a secret, he thought. When she gets there, everyone will know who she is. She's Ricky Keno and Brianna Adams' daughter, he supplied. Oh, yes, that's right. I knew you had some famous friends. That tournament, that's what started your friendship? Oh, no, I've known the Kenos my whole life. My father and Ricky became friends a long time ago, before I was born, when my father saved a bunch of babies from being trafficked back when he was with the FBI. Oh, I've been hearing that story recently, though I was just a kid when all that happened. She finished checking his wounds. 5 of them were almost healed. The infected one was still wet and oozy. She finished applying a dry bandage, then went to adjust his bed. Breakfast will be here soon. I'm just going to sit you up. She handed him a urinal. I bet you need to use this, and I'll give you some privacy. She stepped out. His parents came back just when he finished, and his mom took it from his hands and went to the bathroom with it. "How you feeling, son?" Keegan asked. "Good. Can I go home?" "No, you may not," his mom declared as she came out of the bathroom. She leaned over and kissed his forehead. "You're almost as bad a patient as your father was way back when." "Really? Tell me about it." Keegan raised his eyebrows at his wife because he was pretty sure she wouldn't want to share those details with her son. Um, your dad might tell you someday," she said. "Mom, did you happen to bring my phone?" "No, honey. I wasn't thinking about your phone when we left the house, but I'll get it for you." He nodded. "Thanks. Can I borrow your phone?" "Why in such a hurry?" "I need to call Peyton and ask him to get my work for me while he's there at school and then bring it to me after practice." "Why don't you just relax?" Keegan asked. "It's the end of the year. I have to have all my work done. I have to graduate. I have to go to prom next Saturday. All my work has to be done." "Well, I understand all that, and I appreciate your willingness to get all caught up on your work, but you have time." Gabe blew out a breath and nodded his head. He was suddenly tired. He looked up quickly. "Will I be out by Saturday morning? 'Cause, Jake and Bugs." "We'll see," Lizzie said. Gabe frowned but closed his eyes. It's still May 2nd, early Thursday morning, Keno Estate, Crystal Cove, California. Grandmaster Eric Keno picked up the landline, which didn't ring often. "Hello?" "Hello. Please, I need to speak with Eric Keno. Eric Sr., por favor." Eric frowned. The person on the other end seemed panicked and fearful. "This is he," he responded. "How can I help you?" he asked, wondering more. How did you get this number? But the person, a woman, was frightened, so he went into service mode. "I need to speak to you personally. You have to meet with me. Please." "What's this about, if you don't mind me asking?" "I can't talk about it over the phone. Please trust me. You want to hear what I have to say." Eric thought a moment. "Hold on for just a second." He placed the line on hold, picked up his cell, and called Jason. "What's up, Eric? Can you record and trace my landline, please?" "Sure. Give me a second or two." "Okay, I'm switching over to it now." "Are you still there?" Eric asked. "Yes, sir, I'm here." "You say you want to meet with me." "Yes, please. I know this sounds strange, but I need you to trust me. I have to meet with you personally." "And you can't tell me what this is about?" "No, not on the phone. Oh, no. I have to go. I'll call back." "Wait, where are you? Hello? Hello?" He hung up and picked up his cell. "Were you able to get that?" "I got a recording. Did not get an immediate location, but I can find it in a few minutes. I'll call you back." "Thanks." New scene. It's still May 2nd, Thursday morning, South Keno Estate, Crystal Cove, California. "Please, Mom," Taylor cried. "Please understand. I have to go to him." "Sweetheart, we do understand. I know you miss him. I know you're worried about him. But you are not missing a week of school to go see him. Besides, he needs to rest, not entertain you. We are scheduled to leave here 1 week from today, and we are not leaving a second earlier." "Why won't you understand?" she cried. "Taylor," Ricky said quietly, "I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath and get out of panic mode and trust us. We do understand your need to see him, but Gabe is fine." She did as he instructed. She took a deep breath, calmed her mind. But how can you know? I can't reach him. He's not answering his phone." "He probably left his phone at home," Bree offered. "Will you call Mrs. Tanner?" "Now that is a much better request," Ricky said. Bree pulled out her phone and made the call. "Lizzie?" "Hey, Bree. How's he doing?" Lizzie laughed. "Well, you're the third person to call in the past 10 minutes. "Who were the others?" "Jeff Davis and Isla August." "Well, I hope I'm not bothering you." "No, not at all. You are the sweetest to take time to call." "So, he's doing well?" "Oh, he's so much better. He's a little tired, but he's already 1,000 times better. I mean, last night he was actually unconscious. He gave us a scare. I bet. So, are you with him right now? Yes, I am. Is there somebody there who would like to speak with him? Bree smiled. How'd you know? Ha, mother's intuition. Hold on, I'll put him on the phone. Lizzie handed the phone to Gabe for the third time. Hello? Hey, Taylor said, sniffing back the tears that came when she heard his voice. Hey, Taylor, don't worry, I'm okay. You promise? Yes, I wouldn't lie, especially not to you. Why especially not to me? Because we have to always trust each other. I do trust you. I know, and I trust you. So we are still on for next Saturday, right? She sniffed again. Yes, absolutely. We're coming in on Thursday afternoon, and I can't wait to see you. Me too. I mean, I can't wait to see you. She laughed. Thanks. I needed that. Now I know you're back to normal. Well, you'd better warn your parents that no matter who's standing around, as soon as I see you, I'm going to kiss you. You're on speaker. Oh, shoot. Sorry, Grandmaster Kino, Ms. Kino, whoever's there. Taylor, please let me know stuff like that a little earlier. Taylor giggled. If that's your worst, I can handle it, Ricky said. Are you coming too, Mr. Kino, or just the ladies? We're all coming, Taylor replied, and even my brother too this time, 'cause he's finished with his movie shoot and he's trying to talk Jojo and Logan into coming along. That'll be fun, Gabe said. Jake will be stoked for that. Yeah, you just remember who is the main person coming. I could not forget you, Taylor. Nobody could. Ricky rolled his eyes while Bree grinned. Well, I'm going to let you get some rest. I just needed to hear your voice. I feel so much better. I love you, Gabe. Bye. You cut him off, Bree said. Taylor smiled. I know. I always do. I won't let him say it back to me. Why not? Ricky asked. I was interested to hear what he had to say. I don't know. I guess 'cause I don't want him to say those words just because I've said them, so I don't give him a chance. That's not fair, and it's also cowardly, Ricky informed his daughter. Well, what do you mean? If he feels that way, you should allow him to express it. And it's cowardly because you cut him off, and that way you won't be hurt because you won't know if he doesn't say those words back to you. She thought, then nodded. I'll fix it when I'm face to face with him. Ricky nodded. Good. See that you do. And that is the end of chapter 19.